In 1914, General John Thompson was one of the world's leading weapons experts, a logistics genius who understood the science of war.
John Thompson was the leading firearms expert for the United States, but he was also, in his own right, capable of taking ideas that were radical and applying them to usable technology for his own military.
Thompson graduated top of his class from West Point, the prestigious military academy in the US. During the Spanish-American War in 1898, he was in charge of delivering weapons to the battle area in Cuba. He went on to develop new weapons for the military, including a new bolt-action service rifle.
He also had the capability, though, of seeing what was coming over the horizon and how the American Army had to change and adapt to that environment.
And that would be the outbreak of the First World War. The US had yet to join the fight. But Thompson knew US soldiers would need updated weapons to keep pace with the Europeans.
The weapons aren't powerful enough. They may need something better.
He then left the military to develop his ideas with a private company.
He felt that individual companies had more freedom of thought and of design, whereas the Army kind of had it the Army way only.
In the trenches across Europe, the Great War was turning into a grueling stalemate. When either side tried to mount an attack by running across no man's land, the enemy just simply mowed them down with a new powerful weapon, the machine gun.
The typical machine gun of World War I was a heavy, crew-served weapon, typically 3 to 4 men. But once you had it in position, it was a decimating weapon.
The machine gun fired up to 600 rounds a minute, and advancing soldiers with bolt-action rifles just didn't stand a chance.
The soldier had to extract the shell after firing it manually and then recharge the weapon to fire his next round.
Thompson realized that a new type of weapon was needed, one which gave the foot soldiers a degree of chance, something that was capable of rapid fire without manual reloading, such as a machine gun, but light and portable, similar to a rifle. In other words, a handheld machine gun.
What this means to the common soldier is that he can put more bullets on target faster than what he could with a bolt-action rifle.
But building a portable machine gun wouldn't be easy. The first challenge was a component called a breech lock. At the moment of firing, it locked the firing chamber, delaying blowback that could kill the operator. It's a necessity for any rapid-fire weapon. But breech-lock designs, such as the one on a Vickers machine gun, were far too heavy and complicated for the lightweight weapon Thompson was trying to build. Thompson searched for months, but he eventually found it. A breech lock that relied on physics, not mechanical force, meaning the parts were small and light. It was invented by a retired naval commander, John Blish.
Thompson knew John Blish, and so he approached him to get access to that patent to see if it could be used in a semi-automatic rifle.
Blish knew from his experience of firing guns on warships that different types of metal tended to stick together under high pressure, creating a non-mechanical locking system. His patent relied on bronze locking against steel. Thompson fitted his prototype with a Blish lock. He fits the H-shaped bronze lock into the steel breech of his gun. When the gun was fired, extreme pressure in the chamber propelled the bullet forward. That pressure also caused the bronze and steel parts to lock briefly against each other, delaying the blowback of the bolt, just long enough for the bullet to move safely down the barrel. As the pressure dropped, the bronze and steel parts stopped sticking together, and the firing bolt blew back, ejecting the empty casing. The firing chamber was then ready for a fresh bullet.
John had a tremendous vision in trying to take this Blish locking system and create a whole new generation of firearms.
It seemed as if Thompson had overcome his greatest technical challenge. So in 1916, he formed a company to start building his new weapon. A few months later, a prototype was ready for testing. But after just a couple of shots, the Blish lock became jammed. Thompson's rifle ammunition was too high-powered, so it was damaging the lock. A fatal flaw that would have made Thompson's weapon unreliable and useless. But then Thompson's chief engineer had a brainwave. Use less powerful ammunition from a pistol, something like a Colt 45.
It was kind of one of those euphoric moments when the light bulb went on.
After some adjustments to their prototype, it was back to the firing range to test their gun with the new ammunition.
It went from having a high-powered rifle cartridge to a pistol cartridge.
Using the less powerful pistol cartridges worked, and the lock didn't jam. It was a huge success for Thompson, but there were more hurdles ahead. Machine guns, such as the Vickers, used a belt to feed ammunition. But a belt wouldn't work in a lighter, portable gun.
The problem was that the gun was so fast-firing and so lightweight that they couldn't get more than about 7-8 rounds out of the belt of ammunition before the mechanism would jam.
So Thompson replaced the belt with a magazine, similar to the ammunition container used in pistols. This meant it didn't generate as much heat as the belt system, so solved another problem. They no longer needed the bulky cooling jacket required by a machine gun. So they were able to use a lighter, simpler solution. A series of fins all along the barrel that transferred heat from inside the gun to the outside.
He had taken a machine gun and made it to where it would not overheat, did not require a water jacket, could be easily reloaded by box magazines or drum magazines, and capable of being carried by the individual soldier. This would become the weapon of its time.
Nice shot.
But by November 1918, when the first shipment of submachine guns was ready, the war was over. Thompson's invention had arrived too late.
The Thompson became basically a wonder weapon that didn't have a war to go fight.
Too late for the Great War, but just in time for Prohibition. Law enforcement agencies loved the new gun. So did the gangsters, who gave Thompson's weapon a nickname, the Chicago typewriter. But General Thompson's invention finally arrived on the real battlefield during World War II.
The Thompson changed the way people thought of what the individual soldier was capable of doing on the battlefield. The individual soldier was a very powerful weapon again.
General Thompson didn't live to see the huge success of his gun as a military weapon. But generations of soldiers whose lives have depended on it still call it the Tommy gun, in honor of its inventor.